SCRS Ferrari Challenge ran in Charlotte, North Carolina last week for round number 5 of the 2020 season. It was tricky, challenging, and full of attrition. But it's time to take a trip across the pond to an English countryside, to a little place called Little Budworth in Cheshire, England. It's a 17-turn club-level circuit which demands incredible precision. Make a mistake here, and there's a nice steel Armco barrier waiting to end your day. Round number 6 of SCRS Ferrari Challenge takes us to Oulton Park Circuit. There's some format changes this week, Finney, and we've got a different style of racing than we had the first couple rounds of this season. It'll be qualifying for race 1, then race 2 will be a top 10 inverted, race 3 will be a top 20 inverted, and 15 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes are our 3 races tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this race is going to play out, or I should say 3 races are going to play out at this track. We've seen not a whole lot of racing here. I think we've been here one time before with this series and also with Grid Life. So this, I guess, really return with the SCRS Ferrari Challenge here with 21 drivers on board for tonight.
So let's head down and bring you through what a lap here at Oulton Park looks like. This is a track that we're not super familiar with. We haven't really come here a whole bunch of times, but here's a look at Oulton Park Circuit. So, first turn is a right-hander, Finney. They call this Old Hall Corner down in turn number 1. It is a right-hand turn. Then you head onto the avenue down towards turns 2 and 3. There's Dentons and Cascades, which is a kind of a kink to the right, and then a left-hander that heads downhill towards Lakeside, a little bit of a straightaway before you get to Island Bend, turn number 4. That swings you back left and sets you up for a very tight hairpin. It's got a whole lot of banking. It's called Shell Oil's Corner. Then turn number 6, a right-hand kink. Then to Britain's Chicane, 7, 8, and 9. It is a left, right, left combination. Before we head down Hilltop, we're going to skip the Hislop Chicane and then head straight to turn number 12, Knickerbrook. Then Clay Hill, turns 13 and 14, that's Water Tower. Then Druids Corner in 15, Warwick Bridge, Lodge Corner down in turn 16, and Deerleaf turn number 17. There's a whole lot of corner names around here because that's how the English like to do it, Finian, but it's a fun racetrack. It's really tight, really technical, and it's going to demand a lot of attention out there tonight. We've got 21 Ferrari GT3 machines out there. So, I mean, I'm really looking forward to this triple header tonight. See how it goes. Let's head down to the racetrack. Qualifying is just about underway, and new ticker animations, new graphics this week, and Carter Kundinger, the number 2, has had a really good start to the season, and he's out making his qualifying effort here early at Oulton Park.
Yeah, and also we should note too, we're running the new revamped format for the 3 races. We're not using the traditional qualifying and then full invert and then kind of mismatch of the race 1, race 2 results. We're using a new format for tonight. We're using kind of similar, pretty much similar to what we were using last week. Race 1 is going to still be set by qualifying, as you can see here. Carter Kundinger trying to sit down at times, coming through the final sector of the track. Race 2 is going to be a top 10 invert, and then for race 3 it'll be a top 20 invert for the field. And we're all going to be doing this in one session, so we're not going to have any breaks. We're going to be straight action pretty much for the next hour, hour and a half.
Terry Newmaster in the 000. This is a team that came right out of the gate at Charlotte last week, and it didn't have an amazing first run, but they did run pretty okay, all things considered. Charlotte's a really difficult place to have your first run. So currently 4th in qualifying of the 4 drivers that have laid down a time.
And we were talking about how beautiful this car looked, and the night, even the daytime, the matte finish on I guess red-orange?
Kind of like a burnt umber.
Yeah, that... Umber?
Sure, well, it's a copper color. We'll roll with that. It's John Heinhoff who could give us a better color for that. How about Isaac Snyder in the 333? This is his first race in this series, and he's got the Motul car as he heads down. I believe it's hard to get my bearings at this racetrack. I think this is turn 3, turn 2 and 3 here, because turn 2 is the little kink to the right, 3 is the left downhill. Okay. As we get used to this circuit, I'm not super familiar with a lot of English circuits other than Silverstone, really. So this is kind of new for me.
Yeah, I would say I'm decently familiar with this place. It's a fun circuit. It's probably one of the better British tracks. I think for me, really, it's like Silverstone, then maybe Brands Hatch and Oulton Park. And kind of the rest kind of muddle on down. A lot like you, I'm not that extremely familiar. And here, especially with this particular chicane, I don't think I really run a race using this chicane. I've used this chicane company, which is Hislop.
Yep. Yeah. The previous one is Britain's Chicane. I've actually run that one with the Grid Life iRacers group. They actually came here a couple months ago with their Miata Cup series, and I actually kind of like that for chicane because it's a little bit slower. You don't have quite so much death and destruction as you get through that chicane area. So anyway, 5 minutes left in qualifying here at Oulton Park, and Jonathan DeCouger goes to the top of the board, one of the pro drivers in tonight's event.
Currently sitting on pole, Carter Kundinger in second, Lidke up in third. Good qualifying effort for him. Still waiting on a few other big names to get their times in. Hefner and Royan, trying to see those two guys in the pro category, waiting to see them put a time down.
Having a look at the fastest lap of the session so far, Jonathan DeCouger at 128.8. That's 0.4 of a second quicker than Zachary Hefner, who has just gone second quick in his number 51. So laying down some pretty solid times is Jonathan DeCouger, and I think this team in general is looking pretty good tonight between DeCouger, Hefner, and Jeff Royan in the 233. Thomas Cooper out on track in the 584, another one of these attrition cars that started running last week at Charlotte. Cooper, one of those drivers that had a very bad outing, and nothing that he really did wrong, just kind of wrong place, wrong time a lot last week. And Johnny Bell, 72. He's got the silver car. This is a great looking car.
Yeah. All three of those attrition racing paint schemes look really good.
They're going to head down towards the British chicane again, up over the curbs, and it's all about getting an exit here onto the back straightaway and a slip and a slide, and he'll go off course and spin right in front of, I think that was Andrew Mickey. There's Eric Mickey, who's come to a stop. That is the Hilltop straightaway between turns 9 at the exit of British chicane and turn 12, which is Knickerbrook, which is the corner that Eric Mickey's about to enter right down here.
Looking at the time sheet, Hefner is able to put down a time that was second to his teammate Jonathan DeCouger with a and it's currently sitting at 0.3 seconds in behind.
So now we got a little bit of time before qualifying gets complete. Just a few drivers left to lay down times. Want to thank our sponsors. You're looking at one of them, Brian Sohn of the Penguin RC Simulation car. Of course, Penguin RC Simulation offering extraordinarily detailed and well done sim racing hardware. You can check out the website in the video description. Check out what they have to offer, especially if you're into paddle shifters, and also the iFlag system that you see on top of the car. We're actually running a digital version on my right monitor and a hardware version on top of my monitor to display the flag states here. It's a really cool LED panel that you can build with free software by Peter Vostrel, who is currently, looks like he scored 6th, so he's right at home tonight in the 404. Also want to thank our other sponsors that have come on board to sponsor us this season. Redenzo Radar. From the most demanding driving enthusiast to the budget-conscious first-time buyer, Redenzo Radar has a radar detector perfect for you and your driving style. And by Lazy Rocket. From small stickers to full vehicle liveries, Lazy Rocket Vinyl Produce specializes in die-cut vinyl and graphic design. Visit www.lazyrocket.com to learn more. I love Australfinian, a really good solid run for him, and taking a look from Central Eastern Europe. I mean, maybe not quite his home track, but certainly the closest it's been to home since we started
I was
a couple of weeks ago.
Looking at the season, I think this might be the closest we're going to get to Central Europe. Let me double check that. But pretty sure we don't have a whole lot of European tracks on the schedule as far as I'm aware. Looking at, we go to Silverstone actually next week.
Okay, that counts.
Oh, okay. We go to Catalonia after that. So the European stretch we have lining up, so I guess that's really the closest you're going to get to Central Europe. And also in this season, we go to Imola.
Ooh, Imola's always a fun one. A lot of fast speeds there. About a minute left in qualifying here. Jonathan DeCouger still holds the top spot. Only a few drivers left to lay down times. And let's take a look at our weather as well before we get rolling here tonight. Beautiful day. It's sunny, 12:08 in the afternoon, so just past noon. Track surface about 100 degrees out there, Finian, so it's not too hot considering the ambient temperature is only about 68 degrees here in Cheshire, England. So that tells me that the surface is going to remain probably around 100 degrees. Might creep up a few, but it's going to be pretty grippy out there, all things considered. But we'll see how it is for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, drivers starting what should be the final lap. Here comes Carter Kundinger in the 2. Currently sitting in 4th is about 0.8 of a second slower than DeCouger, so we'll see if he can try to improve his time and try to get past Kurt Crum, Hefner, and DeCouger at the top of the charts.
So Oulton Park Circuit is one of our first trips across the ocean for 2020. Again, we head to Silverstone Circuit next week. What's coming up on Sim TV in the upcoming week? Well, tomorrow night, we've got Washington, D.C. region SCCA action from Summit Point. 72-minute endurance race with Mustangs and MX-5s right here on Sim TV at 8 o'clock Eastern. Saturday night, Outsider Racing League heads to Texas. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and so will Outsider Racing League's next round. That'll be Saturday night at 10 o'clock.
And at the new version of Texas,
at the new version at Texas Under the Lights as well. So excited about that. And then on Sunday, we got to the Indy Elite Series. That will be headed to Barber Motorsports Park. So looking forward to that one as well. Okay, gridding time. Here we go. On the front row tonight, let's roll through our grid, and it is working tonight nicely. First and second place, Jonathan DeCouger and Zachary Hefner. Move on back to row number 2.
Yeah, and then we got Kurt Crum and Carter Kundinger sitting in row 2.
And row number, I gotta slow this down a little bit. Row number 3, Jeff Roy in the 233. Robert Rattray, he'll be rolling off in 6th.
We got Drew Lidke and Peter Vostrel sitting in the next row and behind.
And behind them, Isaac Snyder in the 333, and Eric Making, the Bombshell 88, rolling off in 10th.
We got back to low, we got Brian Shabelski in the 12th car next to him, Brian Stone in the 03, and then moving on back another row in 13th, we got Steve Bunting and Brandon Blackford in 14th.
In 15th place, the 27, Jonathan Rodriguez, and Terry Newmaster in 16th to his outside. And behind him in row number 9, Andrew Mickey, the other Bombshell 86 car, and Robert Haynes in 18th place.
Moving on back in 19th, we find Thomas Cooper, the 3rd, and the next to him, Johnny Bell in 20th, and rounding out your field in 21st, JD Snyder in the 32.
I'll tell you one thing, it's certainly more efficient, that's for sure. I'll tune that and tweak that. It's actually the first time I've had that work properly because it wasn't working for the Renzo series last night. So it did work, it just was not in the right order. So I didn't really pay too much attention to how fast it was going. All right, so let's do a little bit of a half pace lap here before we turn them loose. And your expectations, I'm looking at these cars, Finney, this front row between DeCouger and Hefner and Jeff Arroyo, about a row and a half back in 5th place. Those 3 cars have been so quick in practice and qualifying, I would not be surprised if they were to sweep the races tonight and maybe like they did at the Roval, kind of play together and kind of help each other out a little bit as well.
Yeah, those guys have been really fast as of late, more so than usually. I know they've always been decently fast, especially Hefner. I think he's been the most consistently up there out of the group and being second in the points as well. So that really just shows how well he's been doing this season so far. But I definitely think we should also, I feel like DeCouger and Arroyo have really stepped up their game, and I think we could definitely see them, at least one of those 3 cars, end up in victory. And of course, Carter Kundinger and Kurt Crum going to try to upset that and try to steal a little win away from them.
20 cars have taken the grid. JD Snyder did not line up for the start this evening in his number 32, so it'll just be the top 20 up all the way back to Johnny Bell starting at the tail of the field. And, if I'm back here, Finney, I'm going to wait about a half a lap until we get through the Britain chicane before I really try to do much of anything, because it's going to get messy when we try to squeak everybody through that tight chicane. So, heading under the Carlu Bridge, Jonathan DeCouger on pole in his number 39. He is a pro driver, Finney, and again, running for overall points with the AMP drivers, but there is a separate championship as well. Kurt Crum is the current leader in that. He starts 3rd.
Yeah, Jonathan DeCouger really needs a good finish here as the pace car rolls in.
Green flag flies. We're racing at Oulton Park. 15 minutes on the board in race number 1 of the night. So far, free and clear of Kurt Crum, holding off Carter Kundinger. Behind him, Jeff Roy and Robert Rattray in the number 33. There to the inside is Brian Sonon. Shabelski unable to complete that pass, but now it's Steve Bunting behind him in the 83. He's looking aggressive as they head down towards turn number 5.
Yeah, DeCouger leading them, and Hefner, Crum, Carter Kundinger, and then Jeffrey Roy in your top 5. So not much has changed in that order. They're all pretty much single file through turn 4.
Bunting and Blackford 13th and 14th. Now into the Britain's chicane. DeCouger continues to lead, and passing is going to be difficult to do tonight, Finney, and so you got to pounce on everyone's mistakes and be there when it matters, but so far it's the teammates leading as they head towards Knickerbrook.
And up the fast right hill, up the fast right-hand corner.
And try to clip that inside curb, and something the Grid Life guys figured out here a couple months ago is you can actually clip that inside curb quite a bit. Actually, there's a jump there if you cut it too much.
And it's really advantageous to take. You might have to be a little bit easy with the traction control in these cars. It can really throw you off, send the car spinning around. But it looks like for the most part, no incidents on lap 1 throughout the field. So
trouble as you say that. It's Brandon Blackford in the 013. He's gone for
right on cue. The 013 will go around. It looks like he's got some decent. I think he might have some front end damage.
Here's a look. I wonder if this is all on his own or if he had a little bit of... just got the grass on driver's right. Yeah. Got that wall and tumbled across the racetrack. That's a big bunch of damage for the 013 early in the going here.
And looks like he's going to keep that car out there. Continue on.
Brian Chbelski in 11th place right now in his number 12 car. And so far, everyone's kind of spread out a little bit. Up front, it's Takujer leading by 1.2 seconds. We head back towards the hairpin again. But for second place, Kurt Crum reeling in that number 51.
Yeah, we're going to have a battle for second place here, trying to crawl his way up the order to catch Takujer potentially afterwards.
And nice and tidy through the chicane. A little bit of curbing on track out, but you can't overuse it because if you catch that grass, you're going to have a little bit of trouble accelerating, and the traction control will catch you and push you out of line. Brian Chbelski now under attack from Brian Sohn for 11th.
So I'm trying to catch up to the 12 car. Right ahead of them, we find Eric Mickey. I'm a bit surprised to see Mickey so far down the order in 10th.
Yeah, Mickey didn't really get a really good qualifying effort. He started in 10th. He still runs in 10th, so he's got a lot of work to do and definitely not on the pace that he normally is. I'm not sure that this is one of his better tracks, and I'm not sure that he'll have an easy time tonight, but he's certainly talented and should be able to make up for any shortcomings he has at this particular facility.
And Brian still trying to chase down Chbelski.
Steve Bunting, another new driver in the series. In his number 83, has found a bit of a spot to run right in front of Andrew Mickey. He's been having some problems with his connection, though, Finian, so I'm not sure that he'll stick around. Hope he does.
Hopefully he can get that sorted out by the end, but still no change up the order. Passing, not surprisingly, pretty hard tonight. Fairly tight circuit for the most part, especially in GT3 cars.
So again, this made qualifying very important, but it also makes finishing order in this race very important as well. You got to set yourself up for race 2, and the driver in the catbird seat right now is Eric Mickey. If he finishes right here, he will start on pole for the second race. So what's the incentive to pass Isaac Snyder and take a spot away?
Well, obviously, you're going to get more points further up you finish in race 1. It's kind of a given at that point. But also you have to. It's kind of weird because it really depends on the point system. And obviously, Eric, one of the admins of the series, the way they've scaled the points, it's much more top heavy, so it's much more beneficial to finish further up the order. So I imagine you could see really, I think just with the amount of time left here, I think Eric might be able to climb up 2, maybe 3 spots up to Vostrel. I don't think he can quite get much more than that, especially considering how much he's struggling with Isaac.
Yeah, and that's probably why I would say for strategy purposes, don't pass him, because if it is so front-loaded points-wise, you're not going to gain a lot by pushing now, but you will gain a lot if you start on pole in race 2. So that's my strategy. If I were Eric Mickey, is just hold station right here, but obviously he's still competitive, wants to grab every spot he can, because again, 1 point might be the difference at the end of the season, and even if it finishes 9th, it's still starting second for race 2.
And he's in a tight points race between himself, Hefner, and Kurt Crum, so he's got to consider that too. So every point is going to matter, and I mean, if he can get past, these 3 guys, within this race, who's to say that he won't be able to pass them by the end of race 2 when he's fighting for the lead at that point. So I'll keep an eye on him. He still has not been able to get past Snyder and sitting in 10th. He might also just be, pulled up right to the Snyder and just sitting in behind. That could be the case too.
See Snyder still dealing with Eric Mickey. Drew Lidke starting to fall into this battle as well. Trouble for Thomas Cooper. He's looped it. This is heading down towards
the straightaway.
Oh, that is a straightaway. Where is this?
After turn 3.
Oh, man. A vicious
odd.
Impact.
Oh.
Was there contact here that maybe sent him into this position? He just caught the grass and hooked. Oh, what a terrible impact towards turn 5.
He lazily just kind of strayed onto the grass, and by the time I think he realized it, he panicked, turned the car a little bit too much, and overcorrected into the wall. So unfortunate end for Cooper's day.
Woo, look at, wow, that was Robert Rattray hanging all out on the line over the edge of the curb.
Speaking of grass, you don't want to play around too much with it. We just saw what happened on a straightaway, let alone the exit of a turn. Rattray trying to make some noise here, move up past Jeffrey Roy in his battle for 5th place.
And working our way towards halfway through this event, about 8.5 minutes left in this 15-minute race. And Jeff Roy and also, that's Vostrel, and he's right in the middle of the racing like it's clobbered! Oh no, by Isaac Snyder, and he goes airborne.
Wow, yeah, that was a horrible place to spin out.
Wow, that was a dramatic wreck if I've ever seen one. And I would be remiss if I did not do this in slow-mo. I'm sorry I had to do it to him, but...
oh, man.
Here's a look at Isaac Snyder. He just comes out of turn 1. There's a car in the way. Look at Drew Lidke's avoidance. Eric Mickey got caught up in that as well. But here is a look at Isaac Snyder's impact. Gets the nose of the car and pirouette. Wow, hang 10 airtime.
Yeah, I didn't see. Did he stick the landing?
Yeah, well, okay, well,
Give it a 6.
there's some work to do left for Isaac Snyder on that front, but that's a disappointing end to race number 1.
Oh,
Eric
and
Mickey
Mickey.
caught up in that as well. Yeah, Peter
I'm
Postrel.
a bit surprised that Mickey retired the car. I know he hit the car in the nose, but engine's in the back, so I mean, he shouldn't have had, might have had minor handling issues and also struggled with the air on the nose, but I thought the car would have been able to continue. Unfortunately, he's going to have to retire.
Yeah. That's going to be a big points hit for sure.
Yeah, and now it's really going to hurt him because he's not even going to get the benefit of the top 10 invert in race 2. So, going to be a tough day for Mickey.
Zachary Hefner holding off Kurt Crum, but not by a whole lot. You see through the trees here. Great camera work by Finian DeCuna setting up the cameras for tonight's event. Crum chasing that number 51 as we work around here in Cheshire, England. Beautiful day. As we mentioned, the weather is perfect for racing. The track temperature has crept up a degree, but it seems pretty comfortable out there. We've only seen a minimum of incidents.
Yeah, really, the only handling issues people have been having is by dumping a tire off over the grass. So for the most part, the track's pretty grippy. Obviously, you can see too with the rubber, these guys are laying down the dark bits in the corner, giving these guys enough grip, especially in the hairpin here.
This is such a fun corner to drive. A lot of banking. You don't typically see this much banking on a road course, but fun to have some. And here's Andrew Mickey right on the back of, that is a lap car, I believe, the
Yes,
584
Cooper.
of Thomas Cooper. Right behind him is Jonathan Rodriguez in the number 27 car. He started in 15th spot. He's up 3, so a pretty good climb for him. If he can get in a little closer to the top 10, he'd be in a great place for the invert.
Yeah, it's Bunting that's currently sitting in the 83. Like, he's going to be starting on pole, and that's going to be, I think, a bit terrifying for him. You know, being a new driver to the series, and you're going to be starting on pole. You're going to have a lot of fast guys in behind you. But still not over yet. Andrew trying to chase him down. He's got to deal with the lap car flashing the lights at the 584.
Distraction tactics sometimes work, and putting the pressure.
I honestly don't think it's even distraction. I mean, he is a lap car. He's probably just telling, you know, move, please. You're not
I ask you politely.
fighting. Yeah.
Here's Robert Haynes and Brendan Blackford. This is for 15. Blackford has recovered from his spin early. Still damage on the nose of that car, though.
I mean, so considering the fact he's driven his way back up to Haynes with and Haynes is a clean car while Blackford had some damage, it's pretty solid, and he's going to actually have a look here.
That's a really tricky spot to pass. These elevation changes are really abrupt. This is a bumpy facility as well. So these cars, the traction control, especially when you're loading and unloading the car quite a bit, the traction control kind of half stutters and it gets very uncomfortable, especially when you're cresting hills while making a corner. Isaac Snyder is going to return to the racetrack.
It is a very old circuit in the way it's been kind of left. It hasn't changed a whole lot since they first made this place. Obviously, some safety modifications here there, but as far as the track surface, like you're saying, it's very bumpy in some places.
Jonathan DeCouger is just pacing the field out in front. For a second, it's 0.4 of a second. Whoa, that's Kundinger and Jeff Arroyo, 3/10 separating them.
Hard to do the chicane, but actually it looked like he was able to back off Arroyo, and off Arroyo got a horn legs off the corner. Now it's fallen into the eyes of the 33 of Rattray.
Robert Rattray has had a really solid start to the night. A beautiful livery. I really dig this kind of matte black and silver combination.
Yeah.
Again, he started his night back in 6th spot and has gone nowhere and lost no spots. So I think he's found his place for now. If he could just get by Arroyo, that'd be a great result.
He's been eyeing at getting past Arroyo this entire race. He's got 5 minutes left, a little bit under 5 minutes left to do it, but he's so close. He's right on the back bumper of that 233.
Well, Thomas Cooper's gone a little wide again. Here, let's go back and take a look at exactly how he found himself off course. And discharged a little bit too hot into Knickerbrook and went for a little bit of a slide through the gravel trap, but kept it going straight and got back on course. Ryan Chabelski at the number 12. What is night so far, Finian? 11th to 8th. And he'll be starting P3 in the invert if he stays right here.
Yeah, he's got Brian Stone right in behind, and then Lidkey's the driver up ahead in the 21. Lidkey being the first AM driver out of our order.
Lidkey's been doing such a great job lately, and consistently finishing right up behind the pro drivers. And again, we got a whole host of them up inside. At the top of the screen, we'll run the horizontal ticker here for a moment. All the drivers with yellow numbers are your pro category drivers. So look, 1 through 5, all pro category machines.
And then 6th and 7th, or actually, sorry, 6th, you'll also find a pro driver as well. And then it's an 8-second gap back to Lidkey. And that's where all the rest of the drivers who are AM drivers are running.
And we said this the last couple weeks as well, but they nailed, again, how they separate into pro and AM is all done by reputation only. There's no particular
No prerequisite.
No prerequisite for one class or the other. They place you in there, and they do such a great job that every single week so far they've had the top 6 separated very neatly by a several second gap. The only pro driver not in the top 6 right now is Eric Mickey, obviously damaged and still in pit lane.
Looking down the order, not too terribly much going on. Actually, we go back to second place. Crumb's been trying to get past Hefner the entire race. It is one of the other battles that's been brewing for quite a while, and this has not been able to find his way past 51.
Yeah, again, I'm curious to see if we'll see any bumpers tonight, but I don't think it'll be in race 1. I think it'll be race 2 and 3 where we see that happen. I don't think the frustration's quite there yet. I think Crumb's fine with a podium. I think that'll be solid. He's leading the points. No reason to risk yourself getting a penalty. He was on probation early in the season for avoidable contact, and he wants to avoid that situation again.
That being said, the driver he is fighting is the guy who's competing with the points. But yeah, you definitely don't want to, hit bumpers with these cars, especially these cars. These machines you can't really bump someone and have them just move out of the way. They'll spin out and crash violently, so you want to be careful when you do that. Engine Mickey has found his way past Steve Bunting. That's for the coveted 10th place. That's going to be pole.
Yeah, and we know how wide Andrew Mickey can make his car. We've seen that in the past. He's extraordinarily skilled at driving defensively, and starting on pole is a great way to maybe get himself even a race victory when all is said and done here tonight.
How about this entire train of cars? Speaking of keeping guys in behind, he's got Steve Bunting, Jonathan Rodriguez, Terry Newmaster, and Johnny Bell, all in this order. Actually, it's just Bunting, Rodriguez, and Newmaster.
Great little fight here as they head into Knickerbrook. About a minute and 30 seconds left in this race, and as we're gonna have one lap to go next time by. Yeah, and we just got 2 to go, so it'll be 1 lap to go next time we get to the start-finish line, so just shy of 2 laps left.
Here comes Rodriguez to the inside of Bunting here in the final corner.
We'll have a look. This is turn 16. And nice and Newmaster is going to shove it up the inside as well and push Bunting offline, and they're going to drag race up to turn 17 in the start-finish line. And he's through. That was an aggressive move, but the door was open. You got to take it, but he's now way wide, and he's going to lose it. And he won't hit anything. He'll slide to a halt, but he's going to lose a bunch of spots, including the one he had just gotten away from Steve Bunting.
And he's awkwardly parked too, so he's going to have to try to get that car loop back around. Not easy to do in these things, and it's going to get back rolling, but back in 14th.
Second place, Hefner and Kurt Crum continue their dogfight for E2. 0.2 of a second. As we head through this far side of the course, this is such a fun sector.
Yeah, this is my favorite part of the track.
It really is a great flowing section, but it's also very bumpy and a lot of undulations too, which can upset the car. So you have to be really careful, especially if you're side by side and don't have enough space to catch the car.
Come back to the line. It's barely gonna be 2 laps to go. He crosses the line with 2 seconds.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah.
White flag. 1 more to go.
Oh,
for a second, he turns it around, and Hefner goes for a spin and takes Crum with him. And they both collide, and that's going to be a very interesting discussion in race control.
Yeah, and Crum actually, you can see Crum, he let him back on pass. I think at the end there, it looked like Crum was trying to finish him off. He was trying to straighten Hefner back out, I think.
It's all chaos right now. Everything just all went away, and it was Rodriguez that went offline. Then Andrew Mickey followed him, and Bunting and Vostrel got in there on the action. And
it was like a rallycross race in that final, in that part of the track. Jesus.
Well, okay.
White flag has had a pretty uneventful race. He's going to walk away with it. It's going to be Carl Kundinger who's going to finish in second.
He's been just lingering all season long. He's in such a great position to grab some points tonight and charge up through the championship. Jeff Arroyan trying to get back up to third place, or back up to third place. He started in 5th spot and got by one of his teammates. His other is leading the race. So we'll go back and look at that incident. Steve Bunting has gone around again. We'll go back and look at that incident before we leave this set, or I don't even know if we will be able to have time. No. Well, you have to go back and look at it for yourself. Meanwhile, Jonathan DeCousier comes out of the final corner, and he's going to pick up a checkered flag here in race number 1 from pole to win, and Carter Kundinger, the number 2, will come home in second.
And this is going to be a great points day for Carter Kundinger. Is 4th in the points, and all 3 of the guys ahead of him, Mickey, Hefner, and Crum, have struggled, and so has Brian Sohn. He's in 9th right now. Sohn can get back going.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
he got...
This was a
Or he
huge
actually
incident.
took out Shabelski.
This was Brian Shabelski in the number 12. And he just swings right and just gets loose and absolutely clobbers Shabelski.
Oh, he annihilated him.
That was a
Wow.
vicious, vicious impact. He will limp it back to the very end here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Andrew, why there's such a big gap, but I think something else happened to Mickey in the 86. He's gonna just get back to the line in 10th. That's Johnny Bell that he's fighting for 11th. Or sorry, for 10th place.
Johnny Bell started
finished
dead last and up to 11th. That's a pretty good run. He'll start. Oh, Johnny Bell will start on pole for race number 2.
Oh, Crum didn't
No,
finish.
I forgot it's heats. It's going to go all haywire. I don't think this isn't the actual running order, so ignore that.
Right.
Johnny Bell will be starting in 11th place.
Oh, I like this. I haven't seen this.
What's that?
I haven't seen this.
Oh, yeah, I'm still working on the winner graphics. I'm not really sure what to do here with all that space, but I'll figure something out. Might do podium.
Yeah, actually, that would be good. Yeah.
And maybe for Oval Series, do a top 5. I could have a couple different, couple different things. We're still kind of working on this as we go, but hopefully everybody enjoys. Jonathan DeCoutre, I kind of stole Formula One's situation here, but it's fine. Jonathan DeCoutre, Kundinger, O'Royan, Rattray, Hefner, shut up.
I was like, for a second, I was like,
familiar, doesn't it?
For a second, I was like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah.
Anyway, field pulling back in, and we're just waiting for a couple stragglers here.
I was gonna say, we're waiting for someone to finish. I think either Snyder or Vostrel.
Someone was on the lead lap and coming on in. We'll wait for the session to tick on over. There we go. Finally, got the unofficial results on the screen, and time to go gridding up for the second race of the evening. So top 10 have been inverted, and that puts Andrew Mickey on pole for race number 2. Brian Stone, Shabelski, Lidke, Crum, Hefner, Rattray, O'Royan, Kundinger, and DeCoutre. We'll let that roll through here in a moment.
Another 15 minutes on the clock for these guys, and interesting seeing how this race is gonna.
Oh, nope, never mind.
Play itself out.
Heats don't work with the gridding graphic. I gotta learn. But Andrew Mickey, this is his race to lose, I think. He's been so good, so defensive. This is a track that's difficult to pass. I would put my money on that 86. However, that fourth place car, Drew Lidke, he's gonna be hard to beat too.
Yeah, he really is. I think probably out of really that top 4 right now, because those are the only non-pro drivers in the top 10. I would say Lidke's probably the outright fastest out of all of them. However, he's starting the furthest back of those 4.
Another look at the track map. The trouble spots seem to be really the far side of the track, Finney. We didn't see a lot of trouble other than a few spins and slides in turns 1 and 2, but all the trouble came on the far side. Around turns 13 through 15 is really where we saw the trouble. 13, 14, 15, that complex there. And I think that's going to be our trouble spot again. That just seems to be where the cars suffer the most uneasiness through there.
Yeah, really, because, for 14, you have to, you're going through 14 as you're setting up for turn 15, and, the grass there, it's not perfectly sorted out. It's, it kind of curves back in on itself. There's not perfectly straight lines on each side of the track. So if you mistime it by a little bit, get a little bit of grass, that traction control is going to kick in and be your worst enemy, and you're going to go flying off the track, as we saw several drivers tonight. And you can see Andrew Mickey swerving his tires here, getting ready for the start. Looks like Brian Stone didn't grid.
Oh, man.
Race.
That's brutal, and that'll move Drew Lidke up a row. Not sure what the reason was for So not making it to the grid, but didn't make it there in time as the green flag sails and the pace car barely makes it off the track before they go green. And Andrew Mickey's going to lead them down to turn number 1 for race 2 of the night. Bit of a stack up there towards the back. There's Eric Mickey. Got caught up in a collision. Brian Stone starting from the pits is why he did not take the grid. Not sure if that was an intentional or not, but there's Kurt Crum in the 87, and looking at Zachary Hefner, all of the back of Drew Lidke for second.
And Shabelski dropping down the orders. He's letting all the pro guys on by. Mickey still leading. Lidke and then Hefner trying to make up for what happened in race 1.
Run down to the hairpin, into the braking zone for the first time. It is like a carousel around here. There's Newmaster running a little wide.
Oh, again.
Man.
Has not been his night.
Through the British chicane for the leaders.
That's it.
It is, well, hey, you do all the camera work, thank yourself for it. 14 minutes to go. We were 1 minute down, and side by side behind him, that's DeCoutre and Rattray. Cleared them before Nickerbrook.
Rattray letting him on by. Ooh, but a bad exit for DeCuja. Here comes Rattray back on, trying to look to the inside. Now DeCuja going very defensive.
We have not seen this move work at all yet tonight. We've seen a lot of trouble as Kurt Crum goes off into the dirt. And Isaac Snyder has gone around on the straightaway. It's anything but straight back there.
Loosely call it a straightaway.
Mickey, Lidke, Hefner, your top three right now as they complete lap number 1. And Mickey trying to drive away from all the chaos behind him. Rattray, and now that is Arroyan that he's alongside. Oh no, that is it is Arroyan. The 233. Kucher's got up to 4th.
Hard to tell these cars, all the turn racing sim tools cars look the same, and here comes Lidke up the inside, and Andrew Mickey letting these guys on by. I think he got a penalty.
Could have gotten a cut course penalty for the apexing turn 1 a little bit early. He drops to 4th, and will probably even lose that and drop to 5th. So all the positions that he had gained with the field invert going away as here comes Rattray, sneaking up the inside through turn 4, and there goes Mickey out a little bit wide. Can he get it back on course?
Oh, he's got a wall to avoid.
3, 2, 1, just makes it by.
Still not out of trouble yet. It's trying to find a safe way to rejoin the track here.
It's going to be really difficult to do.
Oh man, and that penalty going to drop him all the way from 1st back to 16th and still falling.
Yeah, that's pretty much a throwaway at that point. Oh, side by side into the chicane. That's looks like that might be no, it is Eric Mickey. Trying to figure out which bombshell car was the leading one.
Yeah, Bombshell having a terrible night, for lack of a better word, with Eric Mickey, Andrew Mickey, and Kurt Crum all struggling.
That's the perfect word for it, actually. A terrible night. They're not having a good time right now. Lidke and Hefner nose to tail. Lidke's out a little bit wide. Hefner sneaking up the inside, and he's almost there, but he didn't quite get the nose in there.
I am amazed that Lidke wasn't just turned around right there. That was incredibly close.
And Jonathan DeCuja now knocking on the door. If he could go 2 for 2, this would be a really solid points night for the number 39 Pro driver.
Here he comes. You've seen passing be pretty difficult around this track, but really these turn racing sim tools guys have done a fantastic job working through the order.
Carter Kundinger back there in 5th place. Steve Bunting's going to run a little bit wide at turn 16. He's dropping down the order a little bit. Here comes Hefner, late on the brakes into turn 3. And it's 3 teammates, Hefner, DeCuja, Arroyan, 2nd through 4th right now.
Yeah, look at all of them hounding the 21 of Lidke. And Lidke, I imagine, not going to give this up. This is the best shot of him winning so far this season.
And Robert Rattray knock out of the door for 5th spot. Carter Kundinger right in front of him as they head down into the hole down there in turn number 5, then through Britain's chicane again. The leader's snaking, and Drew Lidke's time, I believe, is borrowed right now. Hefner's going to have a look here into Knickerbrook. I'd be amazed if he doesn't pop out of line. Here he comes. Look up the inside. Not able to make that pass. Oh, Lidke's out wide.
No.
He pulls back on course, will lose spots to not 1, not 2, but potentially even 3 of the teammates as Arroyan's going to try to sneak up, can't do it.
Yeah, this is the tricky part. You know, you have enough of a run to look up the inside, but the way that part of the track switches back on itself, it's really hard to try to make a move. You see Carter Kundinger take some grass back onto the track.
Yeah, a little bit of yard work needed to be done by the Oulton Park maintenance crew after this race at the outside edge of the curbs. And Jonathan DeCuja has had a phenomenal start. In 3 laps, he's gone from 10th to 2nd. And last time by ran a full 2/10 quicker than his teammate, and here he comes trying to get the lead away. Before we even get to lap 5, which would be incredibly impressive. Lidke, Arroyan, Kundinger is now in this fight for 4th place, knocking on the door of the 233.
Trying to build up a run here, and we saw Carter Kundinger finish 2nd in race number 1. Has a chance to finish up potentially 3rd if he can get past Arroyan and Lidke. As you see Brian Sohn spot out in turn 1.
Yeah, Sohn, and really the not only the bombshell cars, but the Penguin RC cars. He just lost control. The car just stepped out in the first corner. Sohn will tumble down the order back to 18th position. Brandon Blackford has Eric Mickey all over him, and this is certainly borrowed time for 013. Isaac Snyder all the way back in 20th. He's sitting on provisional pole right now for when we turn around the whole field at the end of race 2 and set up for the 3rd race.
Seeing how far Eric Mickey back up the order as we look at him here trying to work on Blackford.
Oh man, it's getting tight up here for 3rd. Drew Lidke leading this group. It's Arroyan, Kundinger, Rattray, and there's even Shabelski at the back of that shot.
Been a Great line for the two. Kundinger, but not enough to get a run here. Unless he dives into turn one. We saw that worked out before. It didn't work out well for Kurt Crum.
Oh man, I hate when cars get the grass on corner entry there. You got bad memories from making that mistake once too many. Here comes Arroyan to driver's right in turn two. Anybody try to outbrake on the outside of turn three, maybe crossover?
Gonna try. It's a tricky corner to try to do that. It looks like he's actually gonna lose, and here comes the two of Kundinger up the inside, or what will be the inside here, by the next corner.
Yeah, the camber falls away in turn three, and Kundinger's gonna slot himself in to fourth place in front of Arroyan, and no way for Arroyan to fight that one back, so move Kundinger up to fourth. Rattray has closed in. Great battles in the front of the field.
Here's Hefner and Ducuser trying to break away still.
Jamelski now solidly in this group. There's Johnny Bell in 8th place, then Eric Mickey, Kurt Crum, the two bombshell cars, 9th and 10th.
But running away in offensive, here comes Rattray now making a move. Battle for 5th.
To the outside, tricky place to make that pass.
Almost touching wheels.
That exit is so compromising that if you are even a little bit wrong, you have a bad time. I don't think you can really hang on the outside there.
I was surprised that he even tried to attempt it. That was really close. He's close to being off track, but great job keeping it back on the surface. And we'll try again. Here comes Kundinger now and his teammate. Lidke, I imagine,
He's let him on by.
Yep.
And move the two car up to third place and try to go after Ducuser and Hefner. Well, I think they're playing nicely up at the front of the field. I think Ducuser's kind of stuck himself in behind him.
Oh, whoa. He said he played nicely, not for long. He played nicely for his teammate. He's going to try to keep Arroyan in as much as he can. Arroyan up the inside turn one.
Oh, that was really awkward. They weren't sure if they were supposed to leave space or not. So they did, and Arroyan didn't fill the hole.
Rattray now with a great run off, and turn one's going to have a look at Arroyan.
Oh,
clips the curb and keeps the car straight somehow.
That was wild. When those cars snap like that, it is just a helpless feeling.
It's almost game over in a lot of cases, but it did a great job saving the thing under braking too. It can't be understated how impressive of a save that was.
Gotta have quick hands. Brandon Blackford has looped it in 13th place. We're gonna stay focused on this, the battle for fourth place, as it's Lidke, Arroyan, Rattray right together. 6.5 minutes to go in this 15-minute race, lap number 6 of 11.
Yeah, there's actually Isaac Snyder up the road, that blue and yellow car just go past the screen.
A little bit deeper in the field.
No way! Wow, Roy almost went into the crash trying to make this pass. He's getting desperate now.
I don't trust that move ever on that backside. Oh, here he comes to the inside.
Wow, and a great stop and a great move. Lidke can't do anything but let Arroyan on by, and Arroyan will move off the fourth. Here comes Rattray in the grass, almost doors.
What a
21.
move! That was spectacular stuff. As Rattray went in the grass to get around Drew Lidke. Let's have a look at that again. That was so cool. Here he comes. I mean, this was phenomenal stuff. Looks right, looks left, gonna dip the tires off in the grass. No big deal. Slide on the brakes, go around the outside. What a move.
What a wheelman this lap, too. Almost a crash in turn 2, and then made a pass while almost crashing again.
Thomas Cooper has looped it in the 584 in 18th place. We won't take you there. Too much to look at up here. Eric Mickey and Kurt Crum, bombshell teammates. These guys playing nicely for now, but 5 minutes to go, I'm not really sure that they're going to play this well forever.
Well, considering how miserable the night has been so far, I don't think they want to make it more miserable by taking each other out. So I imagine they're going to, maybe try to sort something out here. I think they might have picked on an order, and might continue this way for the next 5 minutes.
That brings me to the next question. What about up front? After Ducuser, is this over? What's the point situation? I mean, last time we saw Hefner give Ducuser one. Will we see the same thing here?
Well, as far as, the order, if they change the order, the team standings is not going to matter much. To see Robert Haynes, 125. Ooh, he went for a wild ride off the grass.
There might have been some contact here with, that is the 013 of Brandon Blackford. No contact. He just ended up running wide, got in the grass, and got a big piece of the wall.
Yeah.
And has retired the car.
So back to what we were talking about with the turn racing sim tool cars. With Hefner and Ducuser, Ducuser has the most to gain out of this. He's buried pretty deep in the points in 6th. So he can really, use this race to benefit him in the points more so than Hefner. But at the same time, Hefner is not even in the lead of the points, so he can also benefit from this just to take the overall drivers' championship. So I guess whoever the owner of that team, I'm not sure who it is. I want to say it's DeCouger, but I'm not quite sure. It's up to them, I guess, to decide.
Boss man gets the call, you think?
It depends. I don't know. Each team is different. I think, what was it? Which team was it? In Fuel, the one that just left with
Dizzy Motorsports?
Yes, those guys just kind of went, they just kind of,
Whatever,
they had a boys had at it approach of it, which is hilarious because no team wants that.
No, and they had several problems with that over the course of their career in Fuel. But meanwhile, 3 minutes left in this race. We've had everyone kind of spread out a little bit as we've seen in race 1. Still a couple engagements around the facility, but we're going to stay focused on the one up at the front. Peter Vostrel again. Ooh. Bad luck continues for him today. He just ran wide in turn 4, and again, that wall has just been... That's deadlier than the Charlotte chicane wall. Cars sound awful there.
Yeah, I was going to say at idle. That was weird.
2 minutes and 50 seconds. About 3 laps to go at the line. Hefner, DeCouger, 0.3 of a second between them. Deeper in the field. How about Drew Lidke and Brian Chabelski? Lidke did a pretty good job hanging on, but just couldn't quite stay in front of those pro category drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be a really solid night. Looking briefly at the order, I believe it is Andrew Mickey that's leading the M category standings from what I'm looking at. So, and then it would be Chabelski, Vostrel, and then Lidke. So Lidke looking to gain definitely on Vostrel, who's struggled in both races so far tonight. And even on Andrew Mickey, too, who's all the way back in 13th.
A couple pro drivers stuck back in 8th and 9th. Those are Kurt Crum and Eric Mickey. The rest of the field, AM drivers right now. As the other 5 pro members with the yellow numbers are up at the front of the field. Culminating with Robert Rattray in the number 33. So kind of groups of teammates situated around the racetrack right now, so I think that's kind of why we've seen a little bit of a lull in the action here. But we have one more race to go, and that's going to be basically, it will be a full field invert tonight, with Robert Haynes, currently the driver, setting to take over that pole position. And that's almost certainly going to be the most chaotic event of the night. In the past, we've done a larger invert in race 2.
DeCouger takes some grass here. I'm not sure if he's trying to actually pass Hefner or not, but it looks like he's being pretty aggressive.
Well, they got 5 seconds to play with now, so as long as they don't wreck their cars, they're probably in okay position.
That's the key thing, though, is not wrecking. You don't want to risk something like that, especially with Kundinger right now. He's looking at gaining a lot of points.
Now, the other thing they could do is they can make this race a whole lap shorter if they just back it up a little bit. We saw how close it was in race 1. They got plenty of time now, so if they're not directly racing, they can back the pace down a little bit and finish the race in this lap.
Yeah, do you remember what time they came across the line with?
2 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think probably could. I don't know. I don't know if they will or not.
Kundinger's a little far back. Now, the problem is if they do that and they realize they don't have enough time, then they've given up a whole lot of track position to do that. Also, wanted to take a look at the weather one more time, because it's windy. Well, it looked like it was windy out there. 2 miles an hour is what's recorded, but the trees are blowing around out there. And with how unstable these cars have been, especially through this middle sector, I wouldn't be surprised if the wind was playing a little bit of a factor in some of the slipping and sliding today. 15 seconds left. Oh, we're going to almost certainly have a checkered flag this time, I would say.
It's going to be terribly close. The line's pretty close to the start of the straightaway here. We'll see if they let off.
Oh, no, checkered flag. Here it is. Zachary Hefner out of turn number 16 is going to claim a victory this week, and Jonathan DeCouger comes home in second. 2 teammates together. Carter Kundinger in 3rd place in the number 2. And Jeff Arroyan in 4th. Robert Rattray steals the top 5 away. Then Drew Lidke in 6th place. Kurt Crum, Brian Chabelski, and Eric Mickey. I think Mickey, did he just have a loop? Pulls off into the pits.
Interesting.
Johnny Bell's going to come home in 10th place. We'll see where everyone stacks up at the finish here. Last driver on the lead lap will be Steve Bunting. He's still got a little ways to go, but it's Hefner and again DeCouger that were the race winners in this one. Here's a look at your results.
I'm confused why Mickey just came to the pits. I'm trying to think of a reason why. It's kind of puzzling because he just gave up 10th place.
No. Well, he gave up a spot. He'll be a little bit closer to the front in race 3.
I mean, I guess.
Looking ahead, I mean, always down for that, but Who knows?
Yeah.
Your best guess is as good as mine, so.
At that point, I would just come in the pits in the middle of the race. So, I don't know. That's interesting stuff there.
People can't see us back here at home, but I am shrugging right now because I don't know the answer to the question.
I'm just utterly confused, but I'm not confused at who the winner was. It was Zachary Hefner and DeCusier. Great job and even Royan too. First, second, and fourth for that team. They've been on fire tonight.
Yeah, this has been a really good round for them. Bombshell not so much, and for the Penguin RC cars not as much either.
Yeah, and even looking at last week too, they were the fourth, fifth, and sixth highest earning points finishers out of last round. So they've been, I don't know, kind of building up a role here later weeks.
So we got a little bit of a warm-up period here, about a 10-minute warm-up. So we're going to jump to break momentarily to take a break and pay some bills, as Vince Welch would say. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay with us.
Would you like to have a career in racing, and if so, what would you like to do, Dale?
Well, I want to be a race car driver someday. That's, it's all I've ever known, racing.
What did you want to be when you grew up? So many people live a life of what if. Go to school, go to college, get a 9-to-5. This is how we support our dreams, with a safety net. Because we're unsure about taking a leap of faith. Because we're afraid. As we grow, we cross things off our list of dreams. We cut them down, make them realistic. having control of things is reassuring. But for some, the rush of being out of control is what gives them life. Some say racing cars is reckless. Maybe they're right. Out of bounds isn't just cheating, it's cheating death. Football fields made up in seconds. Decisions made in instants. For the people that climb behind the wheel of these cars, they're not driving it. They become part of it. It's an extension of the body. As a child, I looked up to these people, faces hidden by helmets. The less you saw of the driver, the more believable it became that they were, in fact, just part of the machine. It's easy to forget that inside the cockpit is someone just like us, but with the mindset that fear is a motivation, not a barrier. But the reality is, race car drivers are not like us. They never cross anything off their list of dreams. They just keep writing more. Daytona.
This is the finish of the Daytona 500. Side by side.
Le Mans. Indianapolis. Monaco. Places that used to be just places, now international symbols of victory. To those that enjoy the spectacle of racing, the 2 feet of concrete and steel cables are a wall between us and them, between sitting in the grandstands and standing in victory lane. These same walls are a stark, immovable reminder that racing drivers put their lives on the line for the sake of the thrill and entertainment. Despite the risk, despite the heartbreak,
Oh my gosh!
despite the cost. There are some on the sidelines who are fascinated by the danger. They are fascinated by speed, fascinated by the undying desire to be just a little bit better. Their dreams erased by geography, finances, or the lack of a famous last name. There are some who once wished to be a race car driver, but aren't, because they didn't get the chance. And they thought they'd spend the rest of their lives watching their heroes on television, or from the other side of the fence. They thought it was impossible to climb into a race car, so they crossed it off their list. But it's not impossible. There is a ticket to the other side of the fence. For those who want it bad enough, this is your chance.
It's the final race of round number 6 of SCRS Ferrari Challenge from Oulton Park, the circuit without his lap chicane on the back straightaway. Finney, we've had 2 races so far tonight. We're about to start a third with a full field invert. If you thought it was chaotic before, it's about to get a whole lot crazier.
Yeah, and really looking forward to seeing how, after some great racing, race 1 was pretty, your standard fare, I think. It was minimum passing. Most of the guys, especially inside the top 5 or 6, were pretty much finished where they started, except for the incident between Kurt Crum and Hefner. But in race 2, we saw quite a bit of passing, especially Rattray was doing an absolute fantastic job just moving himself up the order. And now with a full field invert for race number 2, or what should be a top 20 invert, which is essentially our full field, it's going to be definitely very chaotic for this race.
So we're gridding up for our last event. This one will be just a little bit longer, 20 minutes, about 14 laps versus the 11 we did before. Field's grid up on the back straightaway, and on the front row for this one, it's going to be Robert Haynes in the 125. Peter Vostrel has had all sorts of trouble, especially in race 2 tonight. He'll roll off second. Then behind him, Isaac Snyder, Thomas Cooper, Steve Bunting rounding out your top 5. But first bombshell car is Andrew Mickey in the number 86 in 8th place. Then Eric is down in 10th, and Kurt Crum all the way down in 14th place.
And seeing if they can kind of turn this around for themselves, that team, they've been kind of struggling. Meanwhile, the Turn Racing Sim Tools guys have been doing a fantastic job. Hefner, DeCuser, and Roy, who are going to be starting 20th, 19th, and 17th, respectively.
So we got 20 cars on the grid. We've had 20 cars all night, although Johnny Bell looks like he may start from the pits if he doesn't get gridded here shortly. He would have been
1 second, and nope. He'll be starting from the pits. Everyone else will... Oh, there.
He made it.
Did he?
Yep. No. Wide. He's back in pit lane behind the garages here, so he'll be starting from pit lane. Pace car rolling off as we begin our formation lap.
Overall for Robert Haynes, Z taking an EOL to the back. I think
looks like it.
Gonna have to probably pull up on the grass. I think this track is pretty
it's so narrow through there. That's Druids, and this is where we've seen so many incidents tonight. And let's briefly, before we go back green, have another look at the track map and the Druids part. What we're talking about is really basically the far right of the screen, top right of the screen. That's where all the trouble has been tonight. It's so bumpy, the elevation's all over the place. It's undulatory, and your car gets super light and uncomfortable to drive. So hopefully it won't be an issue in race number 3 as Robert Haynes, Peter Vostrel, Isaac Snyder will bring us, well, not Haynes anymore, but it'll be Vostrel and Snyder on pole for race 3. Green flag out, pace car dives for safety. 20 minutes in SCRS Ferrari Challenge, and we'll finish it up tonight in round 6. Well, look at Brian Stone on the inside of Bunting down into turn 3. Gonna sneak up there, side by side. And, in front of them, that was Thomas Cooper, locked up the brakes almost, trying to keep that car from moving.
And there, I see the bombshell guys duking at it with each other. It's Andrew Mickey and Eric Mickey, side by side. And it looks like Eric Mickey's gonna work his...
in front of them, there goes Bunting, hard in the wall, right in front of the leaders, and everybody scatters as they head down towards the hairpin.
Massive crash.
Andrew Mickey's off, Carter Kundinger's off, and more. Brian Shabelsky's going to get through, but Eric Mickey's also tangled.
And after Carter Kundinger was having such a good night as well, gonna snake his way on through, and Bombshell gonna struggle yet again.
This is just a huge mess. Everyone's scattering to try to miss it. 2 Bombshell cars, and Brian Stone also caught up in that in the Penguin RC Simulations car. Not the way they want to start.
That was the first big wreck we've really seen. There was that earlier one where guys are kind of dooring each other a bit, but this is the first car we've seen, the first wreck we've seen.
Oh, the leader! Vostrel loops it!
Wipeout. Speaking of which, Vostrel going to loop it around. I was just going to say, talking about a redemption, this would have been a great run for the 404, but Vostrel going to struggle again in race 3 now. He's going to drop down the order from 1st, 7th, and here comes the rest of the field moving on past.
Oh, behind him, there goes Haynes off. Would have started on pole. And here comes Brian Stone on a mission to recover Andrew and Eric Mickey. The brothers blue coming up to turn 16. And Jeff Arroyan up to 9th place in his number 233 after starting in 17th. How about 8 spots in a lap?
These guys already looking at Hefner. Hefner's already up there. He's making passes left and right, already up in the 4th.
20th of 16 spots in a lap. That is really good. I think he's on a mission to win this race. But Kurt Crum somehow snuck up into 2nd place. And he's He's got 3 seconds to chase down Isaac Snyder, but Robert Trey's in here too. Don't count him out.
Yeah, and his second, third, fourth are all pro drivers here, working their way up the order, trying to catch back up to Isaac Snyder. And interesting seeing if we can see Snyder try to break away here. I haven't truly seen his pace. He's been caught up in traffic, so who knows? Might surprise us.
Ryan Blackford has spun around. Andrew Mickey is also involved, and that car is pretty much totaled. I don't know. I think these were 2 separate incidents. Mickey's probably going to hit the dirt here on track out.
Goes too wide.
Oh, already. You see Blackford already crashing in front of him. He had a he did the same exact thing. And this wall is just will get you.
That was a violent hit back onto the track. He did a good job just reversing to keep back off. Oh man, a lot of drivers, a lot of cars claiming in this race.
And how about behind Jonathan Rodriguez in 9th? He's going to pull over. A lot of working together for those Can-Am cars. You see Shabelski's going to take a spot while Nostril is dancing on the binders into 16.
There's 4 of the Can-Am cars all together.
Ran a little bit wide in 16 to add to the salt in the wound. And here comes Lidke up the inside of Rodriguez, and now trying to fight his teammate Kundinger for 10th spot.
Kundinger now going to set his sights on his other teammate. Shabelski up the order in 9th place.
And our leader, Isaac Snyder, has had his lead cut in half in a lap. Kurt Crum was a second quicker last lap. The gap is now 1.8 between them. It's only a matter of time, I would say.
Yeah, it definitely isn't going to be a matter of time. Was a second slower, than the guys in behind him. Here comes Kurt, Crum, Hefner, and Rattray through the chicane.
And don't count out Hefner either. He'll actually lap 9/10 quicker than Crum on the previous lap. Oh, you heard Snyder hit the rumble strips on corner exit.
Rattray got caught air through that corner. Oh, I didn't have 4 wheels up. I had 2 wheels up in the air.
A look. Let's see if we can. Want to get that in slow motion. Still have a look at it here. And this is full send right there. 4 tires off the ground. Drive.
Hey, you gotta be careful when you get over like that. Your car's gonna go straight, not continue to turn. You're gonna struggle a little bit out of the, I guess that's the second to last corner. Down the straightaway here, he's gonna lose a little bit of time to Hefner and Crum up ahead.
Rattray has been driving the wheels off his cars tonight. You saw the outside pass into 16 in race 2, and then wheeling it through Knickerbrook in race 3.
Whoa.
Cooper slow at the exit of 1. Here comes DeCouger. That'll be a trade for 5th.
Yeah, well, still not done. And oh no! Cooper takes out DeCouger
and backs it into the wall hard. I'm sure there'll be a lot of frustration.
Oh man. And I think DeCouger waiting to get back on the track yet. Oh.
Gravel accumulated on the tires here. Isaac Snyder from the lead, he's crashed.
Oh man, this is the same spot we saw Mickey and Blackford wipe out the lap earlier.
And he'll just call it a day. Wow, so 2 accidents. We saw what happened to DeCouger, but what happened to Isaac Snyder? Probably the same story we've been seeing all night so far.
Yeah, I think just sent it too hard into the corner. You can hear the tires screaming for grip as they work through, and just went off the grass into the tires.
Oh man, what an impact as well. Such a helpless feeling when you go wide. Jonathan DeCouger.
Oh. Hello.
Oh, he just
Oh.
Let's have a little fun. Oh, man. Well, gotta end it somehow, right? Crum and Hefner. 14 minutes to go. It's not a long way in this race left, and they run first and second, 3/10 between them.
Yeah, just under 14 minutes left. It's essentially a full distance for race 1 and 2 remaining in this race for these guys to sort it out amongst themselves.
Hefner's quicker. 2/10 faster that time.
Also, how about the turntables between these two guys? We saw Crum and Hefner reversed last time we saw them in race 1, and for Crum, got into the back of Hefner and looped them around on the white flag lap. That didn't work out too well for these guys, so we'll see how this works this time by with Hefner or the attacker.
Throttling back up, heading towards Britain's chicane. And I'm actually mighty surprised we haven't seen an incident here yet today with how narrow this is. Everyone seems to have been conceding spots through here and not really racing, because I think they know how deadly that would be if they tried to race each other down there.
Ask and you shall receive. Good to see a pass here with Lidke as he's caught up to Thomas Cooper here, and as Cooper's built up a train of cars in behind him.
Rodriguez in the 27.
Oh.
Lidke up the road in 8th place.
Oh, who's the lap car out of them, I guess?
That's Cooper. You're looking at Lidke up here.
Oh, I thought he said Cooper.
Cooper is that car.
No, I know.
And then Rodriguez is the car behind him.
Right, I thought he said Cooper.
Oh, maybe you did. I don't know. Oh, Newmaster from 6th place. He's going around, and I think we've seen an incident almost every corner of this track.
Yeah, these guys are trying to build that up now and hit all the corners.
And this might have just been a situation where you got too much curb. Oh, no, you didn't get any curb. You just missed the turn in. Ran out wide.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more trouble in this corner in particular. It's a very demanding corner to work through, so it's surprising to see that's the only car that we've seen spin out. We've seen a few guys go wide but get back on the track. That's the first really spin we've seen through there. Bunting getting passed by Brian Sohn and Bosrell. Now working his way on by on the straightaway. Here comes, that's Rodriguez to the inside of Cooper.
And Eric Mickey trying to recover from the loop around earlier in turn 5 to the outside for turn 2. You might tuck in behind and try to sneak up turn 3.
Yeah, that just really shows how narrow this track is. You cannot go 3 wide as Rodriguez works his way on by Cooper. Now Eric Mickey trying to build up a run down this straightaway. He's got a great run out of the corner.
Here he comes, sneak up. There goes Mickey, door to door as they head towards turn 4. And this is not going to work out well unless Cooper concedes. They almost touch, and they stay on course.
Oh boy.
Playing with fire, that's for sure. A little bit of inside curve for Cooper. That's going to slow him up and leave him at the expense of Peter Vostro, who's actually done a pretty good job recovering from his earlier spin.
Yeah,
obviously dropped back 9 spots.
I still think he's probably going to feel like he's going to be disappointed with the way this has gone and had a chance of finishing up inside, if not the top 5, potentially 7th, 8th, 9th, but currently looking at 11th now. But regardless, though, that is a pretty decent recovery.
And teammate Brian Sohn behind with Penguin RC Simulations, again, the series sponsor, providing season-end prizes.
We saw out of that big wreck in turn 1. Or sorry, not turn 1, on lap 1.
Oh, they get together, and the two teammates collide. And every time we take a look at these two, they've had bad luck tonight. And he was stuck in behind the 584 of Cooper.
Cooper messed up the corner, and that caused Vostro to check up.
Just a bad situation. Kind of an accordion effect in a blind turn. Not a good situation.
Props to Vostro for keeping me on the track. I would have just packed up my bags and left. Oh, actually, you might.
Yeah, well, that might be it for him. Jonathan Rodriguez and Eric Mickey. Side by side, Mickey running a little wide in turn 3.
That's a hard place to try to work the outside with. We run so dangerously close up to the grass, and it looks like Rodriguez is going to keep the spot for 8th.
High speed. Oh, Mickey got close to the track edge there. Kurt Crum still has the lead up at the front of the field by 0.8 of a second. Hefner has dropped back slightly.
Yeah, the gap's maintained itself. Those guys running similar times, both running 128.2s.
And we'll see if Hefner can run back the 87 back down. Taking a look at their lap times last time through, you mentioned it, 129.2. It was a 129.212 for Crum, a 129.288 for Zachary Hefner.
They come back across the timing line. We'll see what they run this time by. 128.6 for Kurt Crum, 128.7.
Yep.
So actually, and even too, you can round up on Kurt's number a little bit. It was still pretty similar. It was actually closer between them last time by.
For both of them, it was their fastest lap of the race. Rodriguez and Eric Mickey still in 8th place, fighting for position. Mickey closing in.
He's been struggling to get past his 27 car.
That was a full second. Nope, I lied. They were right on pace. I thought it was a full second quicker, but they were almost identical times.
Here comes a great run off of turn 1. Gonna have a look at Rodriguez. Nowhere to go, though.
Into turn 3. Oh, Rodriguez, I don't think he's gonna make the corner. There he goes. Off course, into the grass, and it is a long trip back on course here.
Yeah, and for a second, I actually thought that Mickey was heading into the corner too easily. I thought he backed off into the corner, but it was Rodriguez that sent it in too hot. Now fighting with Sohn. This is for 10th. Looks like Rodriguez is going to keep him in behind.
Oh, Hefner's gone around.
Oh,
At
no.
the exit of Knickerbrook in the 51, he was running 2nd place, and he just got a little bit wide and bobbled and slipped. Too much throttle getting back on track. Slow, lazy spin. Drops only to third place though, so he recovered pretty quickly.
I was gonna say he's lucky, quote unquote lucky, that he didn't completely loop the car around. It would have been significantly harder to get turned back in the right direction. So could have been worse, but also could have been better. He's gonna give up second place to Robert Rattray, and pretty much that's gonna, I think, seal the deal for the most part, unless Crumb makes a mistake. Rattray, for that matter, I don't see a change in the top two.
Well, it's so easy to make a mistake. I wouldn't consider this race over just yet. Robert Rattray, though, he's been pushing really hard tonight, but now he's got to kind of calm down. He's got a 6.5 second advantage over Hefner. There's no need to push right now.
Yeah, he can push all he wants. There's no way they can catch up to Kurt Crumb, the pace that Kurt Crumb has. And even though Rattray is pretty quick, there's no way he can make the gap up in 7 minutes. So I imagine you're going to see him kind of maintain a decent pace to just ensure that he stays ahead of third place Hefner and fourth place Orion.
Thomas Cooper's off, and is at the exit of 3, and gonna go for a bit of a ride up the sledding hill.
I was gonna say he's going to the English hillside if he goes any further.
There's a ride on board as he headed down to 3.
Same thing like Rodriguez.
Well, they don't build these cars for that purpose there, Thomas, so hopefully he's got that one sorted out. There's Terry Newmaster in the 000, and it hasn't really been much of a race 3 to talk about for the 000 either, 9th to 14th. After Royan for third, are they fighting? Because here comes Carter Kundinger.
Yeah, Royan's gotten past Hefner now. They're both under attack from the 2 of Kundinger, so definitely not over yet for third.
On the brakes, a bit of a late apex through turn 1, run a little bit wide. Now teammates for a podium position. They're engaged in a battle, but they're going to have to try to hold off a car behind them.
Yeah, Hefner going a little bit defensive into this corner, trying to keep Kundinger in behind.
So 5 minutes left in this race as Crumb continues to lead this event.
Yeah, and actually he's expanded that lead over 8 seconds, 8.4 seconds specifically between himself and Rattray.
It'll take you back to the P3 battle because that's the closest one on the track at the moment.
This is going to definitely get interesting here. I don't think necessarily between Orion and Hefner, but definitely I think between Hefner and Kundinger. Kundinger is going to try to. He's got 2 guys right ahead of him. He's looking at a third place finish. We can get on past.
Through Druids, one of the fastest and most treacherous sections of this facility. And again, we were talking about the weather a little bit earlier, how we thought the track would be grippy, and it is, but you really only have grip from the tires when they're on the ground, and you get quite significantly airborne through that sector.
Yeah, I think that's been catching quite a few guys off guard, especially some guys on the brakes too. I think have been sending it in too hard into the corner, expecting the brakes to do more than they can. As we've seen quite a few incidents happen tonight.
With the field kind of so, there goes, that's Robert Haynes in the 125. He'll keep it out of the dirt. Out of the tires, rather. I was just about to say, it's getting a little quiet. We got some gaps, so for a couple minutes, let's do a SimTV sound surge. Let's listen to these Ferrari GT3s.
Monetize.
we're back here with 3 minutes left in Oulton Park for round number 6 of SCRS Ferrari Challenge. Kurt Crum leads by 10 seconds, but for third place, it's a whole lot less than 10 seconds between the drivers we're looking at. Arroyan, Hefner, and Kundinger, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Yeah, and still not a whole lot has evolved between this battle, but I think as the timer begins to tick even closer to 0, I think that this battle is going to start to heat up more and more.
Through the Britain chicane, you heard the rumble strips off in the distance. These drivers using every inch of racetrack. And the rumble strips at this particular track, as Haynes goes off again in the same spot. He's gone off a few times in a row. The rumble strips at this racetrack are, I'm trying to find a good example of them. I don't know if we have a great look at the ones I'm talking about, but they're just rocks, essentially.
I think turn 1 might be here, but
oh, yeah. So basically, it's just painted concrete with a bunch of rocks, basically just kind of cemented in. They're rough and they're very slippery as well.
Yeah, it's kind of odd because this track has the mix of, your conventional curves to those ones with the rocks on the inside.
Yeah, I don't think that's an FIA standard, but
I don't think anymore. Maybe 50, 60 years ago.
Yeah. I know they used to bury tires in the dirt on track out. That's what Watkins Glen used to do.
Oh, yeah.
They bury tires perpendicular to the surface with just the top sticking out. I'm sure that made a heck of a noise. Minute 32 seconds. It's 2 laps to go now. Crum, Rattray, Arroyan, but the battle's still for 3rd.
Fairly close between them, but again, not close enough to really call it. We'll call it a battle, but no one's been able to really get a passing opportunity. I'm not sure really is Kundinger just kind of playing it safe for now until the final lap, or he's actually pushing?
I think he's pushing. I mean, I don't think he's just hanging out. I think the question is, where do you pass on this track? I mean, they're so equal on pace. Only 2/10 separated them last time around. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to find your own way around. Terry Newmaster hits pit lane. As you see, Robert Haynes pulling back out, and Andrew Mickey still sitting in there from earlier in this race. Currently 11 laps down.
In the battle for 3rd here, Kurt Crum, meanwhile, has got a 10.8 second gap to Robert Rattray, and he should be collecting the white flag right about now.
Yep, white flag this time through for Kurt Crum, and he's been killing it right now. And last time through, ran a 1:29.1, which is about a half a second off his best, but he's still significantly quicker than the drivers in behind him. And he heads down through turn 3 for the final time. Some lap traffic to deal with, but won't be a problem with the lead he's got.
Yeah, I was going to say, he can just sit in behind, I believe, Lackford up ahead in that pink car, the 013 and 16th. Yeah, he can just afford to sit in behind. Royan can't afford to sit behind anyone. He's got to still go. He's got not only his teammate, but Carter Kundinger in behind. Yeah, he's fighting it out for a podium. Although Kundinger starting to slip on back. It looks, if anything, it's a battle between Arroyan and Hefner.
He might have burned up his stuff a little bit too much, so Arroyan and Hefner are now left to battle amongst themselves. I don't think that they're going to. I think they're going to just take 3rd and 4th and run together.
Don't risk it. You guys have gotten a lot of points towards all 3 of their names, including DeGuge. DeGuge going to definitely struggle back in 19. That's probably not the day he would have liked, but definitely these 2 guys finishing 3rd and 4th is a really solid day in the series.
Yeah, can't really be said. As a majority for the Bombshell team, they had some trouble. Brian Sohn hits pit lane, and he'll pull that car into the stall.
But at least for Kurt Crum, as he's working through the final sector here, he'll carry the flag for Bombshell and at least get them a win. That'll be, I guess, some sort of good news for them tonight.
Braking zone around the corner. Checkered flag waves for Kurt Crum. He led the majority of the laps in this one. He'll come on through and finally salvage something for Bombshell tonight. He wins at Oulton Park. A long way back as Robert Rattray, keeping pace but needed some track position. Go up there and battle Kurt Crum. He's drove a phenomenal event tonight. Comes home 2nd, and Arroyan and Hefner teammates 3rd, 4th, Kundinger in 5th. Brian Chvelski end up in 6th place if long he gets through 16 cleanly.
Indeed he does, and right behind him, his teammate Drew Lidke is going to finish in 7th place, and it's going to be Eric Mickey in 8th, and looking at Jonathan Rodriguez and Steve Bunting in 9th and 10th.
And it'll be about 4/10 of a second separating these drivers, so one more corner for them before that'll pretty much wrap up the drivers that are on the lead lap, and looks like we are through. So Rodriguez 9th, Bunting in 10th. Here is a look at your race results for race number 3. JD Snyder again did not start the events tonight, down in 21st place, but it was Kurt Crum that went home as the race winner. top 5 again. Crum, Rattray, Kundinger, Arroyan, and Hefner, and all 5 of those drivers in the pro category. The first AM driver, Brian Shabelski, in the number 12. He comes home in 6th place. Solid run for Brian. Jonathan DeCouger, a disappointing 19th in race 3.
Looking at the order, and Peter Vostrel coming across the line, I think just now has come in 13th place. Definitely could have been a lot better, especially it's going to be disappointing for him starting on pole.
We'll be back in just a couple minutes with race interviews from a couple of our drivers. Stay with us.
Ten four, got a copy on you, Kyle. All right.
Welcome back live to Sim TV here in the SCRS Ferrari Challenge, round number 6 and race number 3. And at the top of the board for AM in race 3 was Brian Shabelski. Brian, a really solid run in your number 12 car tonight. Walk us through kind of battling with your teammates tonight and coming home inside the top 10. And as the lead AM driver, going to gather some points here as we head into the next round.
Yeah, as far as how everything went tonight with the points, I hate to say it, but Andrew having a rough night and Peter having a rough night was really what I needed. In addition to all of the good runs I had tonight, really just was trying to keep it clean throughout. I know this is a track that's really aggressive on the off tracks, and usually if you go off the track or you mess up in a corner, you're gonna end up dead. And I figured that there'd be a lot of opportunities just to pass people when they would make mistakes, and there certainly were a lot of cars sliding all over the place tonight that I had to avoid. But yeah, just doing a good job communicating with the team, and obviously Carter and Drew and Jonathan have been great teammates, and I really couldn't have had a good run without them hanging around to help out and just going back and forth with them on advice.
So we've got kind of an interesting part of the schedule coming up. We've been to the majority of the tracks we've gone to so far have been in the Americas, but we head to Silverstone next week. Are you looking forward to that? We're going to kind of, on a bit of a European kick, we go to Silverstone and then Catalunya after that. So excited for those tracks or a bit concerned?
I think I'm kind of excited. Silverstone will be interesting. It's a bit more of a draft track. I seem to do really well, I've noticed this season, on the technical tracks. The ones where there's more stop-start and it's less, planting yourself behind the guy in front of you and just passing in the draft. Silverstone will be a little bit more draft heavy than a lot of the tracks that we've run recently. Catalunya has really got about one really good straight, and then there's another secondary straight that are good for passing. So I'm feeling okay with both of those. I've run both of those before enough that I'm confident in understanding how the track's laid out and how the car moves around a little bit. So yeah, we'll see. I'm sure it'll be really close. It's been pretty tight racing so far in AM class this season.
All right, Brian Shabelski, 6th in AM in race number 3. Brian, thanks for talking. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks. And now we're going to talk to Robert Rattray, who had a spectacular drive in race number 2, a pass in the grass down into turn 16 around the outside of another competitor, and then a second place finish in race number 3. Walk us through tonight's race, race 2 and race 3, because we saw you make some spectacular moves out there.
Oh yeah, I don't remember anything. It was all a blur. It was a fun race tonight. It was a good. We didn't get punted tonight, which is always a plus, and everyone was hard. I didn't have the 28s that the guys at the front had, but they took each other out, so that took care of that. And when I glanced down at my little tick total for race 3, I saw I had 6 about 3 laps in, so I wasn't going to catch him anyway. So I just backed off and let everybody come to me. So I got lucky tonight, and I didn't get punted. That's always a good thing.
Didn't get punted, always a good thing. Robert Rattray, second place tonight at Oulton Park. Good luck next week to you at Silverstone.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks. Kurt Crum won race number 3, but it wasn't without some trials and tribulations for the team as a whole, Kurt. So you come out of here with a race win. Was this a positive night as a whole, or kind of an okay night given how the first couple races went?
I'm just going to pretend the last race was the only one that happened.
I mean, I'm on board with that. Just walk us through. I mean, obviously the first 2 races were struggles tonight, but I mean, obviously it was a little crazy out there. How difficult was it to pass it? And did you feel like you had to use the bumpers to get anything done? Was it traffic that was the issue? The track? Talk to me about what happened.
Yeah, it's crazy tight. And these cars are wide and fast. So there's not a lot you can do as far as traditional passing opportunities. Race 1 was a heck of a lot of fun. We're really tight up front. And your only chance really is to try to force a mistake, which I tried on the last lap of race 1, and a little disappointed in how Zach covered that off. That was a bit dangerous, and we see what happened. But other than that, that was a great race. Race 2, trying to make things happen early, I got onto the grass a little bit and just screwed myself over. So it's just super easy to make mistakes when you have this little room to work with.
Kurt Crum, overall, a pretty decent night with a race win to cap it off, Kurt. So thanks for talking. We'll see you next week at Silverstone. Congrats.
Yep, thanks, Kyle. Take care.
Moving on now to Jonathan DeCouger, who didn't have much to talk about in race number 3, but John, tonight as a whole, some good things happened. Went out there and ran really well in the first 2 races. Walk us through your night.
Hey guys, been a while. Yeah, we had good pace tonight. I figured we had a good chance to get back up the front in race 3. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for us tonight, but it was nice to be back up front and running, and we had a good finish as a team as a whole, so that's a good takeaway for the night.
Obviously, Oulton Park, a very technical circuit. We head to Silverstone next week, which is decidedly less technical, and then we go to Catalunya, Laguna Seca, Road Atlanta. Of those next couple races, which ones do you feel like you'll be strongest at?
Oh, hopefully Laguna Seca. I always enjoy that track. Hopefully we can throw something together there. And Catalunya is a lot of fun too, so we'll see if we can't put something together the last half of this season. All
right, a strong run tonight in the first 2 events for Jonathan DeCouger. John, nice talking to you again. We'll see you later. Have a good night.
You too, guys. Take care.
Thanks. And with that, that's going to finish up the event here this evening. Finney, I know you got to go, so we'll wrap this one up here relatively quickly. Oulton Park, always a track that I'm always a little bit concerned about because I don't know where it goes. But all around, pretty good racing tonight. Seemed tricky to pass, though. We'll be on to Silverstone next week, where I think that'll be less of a problem.
Yeah, we're running the old historic version of Silverstone, so that'll be the layout we're running next week. But yeah, definitely a solid race tonight. All things considered, I think race 2 probably the best race of the night. Action-packed towards the end and some great racing. Just in general, overall, I'm looking forward to seeing how they do next week.
That's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with you live tomorrow, 8 p.m. for Washington, D.C. Region SCCA special event from Summit Point Raceway. It'll be a 72-minute endurance event. Mustangs and MX-5s. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.